Well, welcome everyone. I'm Betsy Morgan. I'm a partner here at Baker McKenzie, and we are thrilled to have you. Several months ago, when we were talking about Bold Women, we talked about the performance dates and when we would have this event, and we're thrilled that this coincides with International Women's Day. It's a perfect day to celebrate bold women of all types. Baker McKenzie has hosted this event for 6 years, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Our collaboration with Hubbard Street is deep and strong, and we are committed to Hubbard Street's diversity as well as this event. And we have another event in June as well with Hubbard Street that's also focused on diversity. At Baker McKenzie, we see gender equality not as a women's issue, but as a business issue, one that we all must champion, and that's why we're proud to host such events as tonight. As part of our International Women's Day celebration here, I'm excited to announce that Baker McKenzie has launched a He for She movement globally across our 77 offices. It's an initiative of UN Women. He for She is a global movement for change to create a gender-equal world. It encourages individuals to commit to personal action. This is not a one-day campaign for the firm, but a movement that you will continue to hear about in the future. We also launched a research piece in partnership with Quest called Make It Happen: How Women Leaders Unleash Their Strengths. The report features women, including a number from our firm, sharing stories about their careers and life journeys to demonstrate the power of role models and how effective personal stories can be when trying to make progress. One of the important aspects of this report is developing role models, and all of you here are role models for being here and in leading women in the ways that you do. Speaking of powerful role models, we're excited tonight to celebrate bold women in the arts and awarding the first ever Bold Moves Award to the founding dancer, Claire Bataille. This evening, this evening wouldn't be possible without the group who organized this evening. And I'd like to thank our friends at Hubbard Street Chicago, the Bold Moves for Bold Women Honorary Chair, Pam Cullerton, and co-chairs Karen Lennon, Aurora Abella Austriaco, and Alyssa Rapp, and the entire host committee for making this evening possible. Lastly, to all our guests, thank you for being part of this celebration and your ongoing support of Hubbard Street and Chicago's vibrant cultural scene. I'd now like to hand this off to David McDermott, Hubbard Street's Chicago Executive Director.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is my first Bold Women. I've been at Hubbard Street for about 5 months, and I was talking to one of our board members out in the lobby, and she said, "How does this feel for you to be here with kind of one of a few men?" And I grew up with really strong women role models in my life, so I thought, oh, how does it feel? And I thought, it kind of feels intimidating. But in the best way. You know, like, I really love being in a room full of really strong, powerful women. It feels great. And so thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, Betsy and Baker McKenzie, for hosting us. Bold Moves for Bold Women and Baker McKenzie's ongoing support as Hubbard Street's diversity partner is really important. So thank you for having us and your support. This is our 15th anniversary tonight, so I think everybody, I'm sure there are people here who started this event, so if we could just give them a little hand. And in addition to Baker McKenzie, I'd like to acknowledge lead sponsor Wessex 504 and Karen Lennon, as well as contributing sponsors Alyssa Rapp at Surgical Solutions and Lauren Robichaud. It would be Luke Conti is also here somewhere. I don't know. There he is. Lou, I had to call you out and make sure that we thank you for being, for all the work that you've done and hired and hired all these amazing women. I know 3 of the 4 original Hubbard Street dancers are here tonight, which is really amazing. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Gail Calver, who is first executive director of Hubbard Street. All right, I'm going to wrap up here. So as we were planning this evening's program, the choice of who would lead the discussion was fairly obvious. We have Glenn Edgerton, our artistic director, Claire Bataille, who you all know, and Ginger Farley, who I'm sure most of you know too. Ginger's been a bold voice in Chicago's dance community from her time with us, Hubbard Street, as a dancer to today, where she serves as executive director of the Chicago Dance Makers Forum, a catalyst for the artistic and professional growth of dance makers. I have to say, personally, Ginger has been a huge help to me in my first 5 months at Hubbard Street, so thank you for that. So, without further ado, Ginger, take it away.
Of all genders here, and today we're celebrating women, and especially my close friend Claire. You know, we all know that the field of dance is really powered by the bodies and the minds and the hearts of women, and extraordinary people like Claire. So I'm just really happy to be here. So you're a founding dancer of Hubbard Street, and that was a crazy time of exciting growth and creativity and hard work and close friendship. And I know Lou Conti also would agree that it took some boldness to establish the company and to get that work seen on stage and for this company to develop to be what it is today. You want to talk a little bit about early milestones and who the champions were that supported the company's work and those early experiences?
Well, the earliest performances we did were at senior citizen centers, where we would go in during lunchtime and move tables out of the way and scoop peas off the floor. Set up our tape recorder. Usually it was Karen that drove us wherever we had to go. We each took turns dry cleaning our 40s costumes. And we usually did about anywhere between 2 and 4 performances a week. And from that point, it gelled, it developed, and eventually it seemed like it was time to present something to the public. So we did a version of our senior citizen program, which we had speaking parts in it. It was kind of a dance through the decades, kind of half-hour show. And we did it in Evanston at the Noise Cultural Center. And I believe it was Ann Barzell who said, you need to take all the talking out and make it a real show. Right? I think it was Ann Barzell that made that suggestion. And then we were asked to perform at the Cultural Center for one of their noontime free concerts. Right before that performance, Lou's lung collapsed. And he was in the hospital. So he was not there for our first performance at the Cultural Center. And in that Claudia Cassidy Theater, if you've ever been in it, is about, 2 by 4. I don't know, seats like 200 people. We felt like we were at the Met. Right? It was like we were opening night at the Met. We were so excited. There were so many people there because of the Lou Conti Dance Studio. We had a built-in audience of people that were ready to see what we were doing and really supportive. And we couldn't do anything wrong that day. So that was like the first major milestone. And to go back in that theater now and see, it's really cozy. It's a great memory for us.
So you also, because you've worked with the company you had a long career with the company, and then have continued to lead at the school as a teacher and as a role model for so many dancers, and then have also continued to work with the company as a coach on existing work and new work. Can you talk about what it's been like to be a part of the company and work with the many generations that have gone through this company over time?
So the company is 40 years old. So I kind of think of it in decades, like 4 different generations. And I feel like I'm one of the lucky people that has been able to sort of be on the sidelines through all of this and witness all these different groups of people that come together. And in a dance company like this, where it's not 50 people, 100 people in a company, there are, how many now, 18? 16. So anywhere, we've always been anywhere between like 12 and 16. It's an intimate group. And as dancers, you're very physical with one another. You get to know each other really, really well. You tour a lot, you travel, you're in hotels, you're on buses, you're on airplanes. There is a familial aspect to being in a dance company like this. And over the years, I've seen many different versions of that, but there's always that same kind of bond that never goes away. And it's particularly over the last year, since I've been able to work with the current company on the 40s and on Georgia for the performances last summer, I feel really enveloped in it with this generation. And I'm going to get emotional. Good. It is a bond that doesn't go away. And you'll find that years later, you may not speak to each other for years. It doesn't mean that you're not close to each other. Your just lives separate and you move on and you go into different aspects of your career. But when you need those people, they will be there for you. And it's always, to me, I can feel it on stage. You know, as an outside audience member, you might feel something that there's a connection between these people, but you don't know exactly what it is. And it really is a family. It's a close-knit group of people who have their problems, right? We've all had our problems. And things happen. Just it's life. You're living life together, and I feel really lucky and privileged that I've been able to kind of be around to see from our little group of 4 in the 70s to the group that we had in the 80s, and then the group in the 90s was shifted again, and then the group in the 2000s when Jim Vincent was artistic director, there was a shift, and now this most recent generation, it's impactful. It's no words to describe that kind of feeling that you have, and you have to do this together. And
Claire and I, our
life
first
together.
child was born on the same day. In the same So during that period of time that we shared together, being in the company, we had the opportunity to work with a number of interesting bold women, choreographers. Lou's brought in, the original repertoire was Lou's choreography, but the next layer of work was all from really wonderful female choreographers. Lynn Taylor Corbett, Marlo Sappington, and of course you yourself. Claire's work, Full Moon, was a centerpiece of the early repertoire that we toured all over the country in the 80s. Do you want to talk a little bit about the women and female choreographers and how they shaped your work and what your experience of them was in the studio?
Well, Lynn Taylor Corbett was a force. Every movement that she choreographed had subtext. There was not necessarily linear storyline. Although some of her works were very storytelling, but she sort of grasped a lot of her movement from watching people, and so she gave you like a deep understanding. It was not just steps and counts. It was a deep understanding of where her work was coming from, what she was trying to say, and there was always something underlying in her choreography. And then with Margot Sappington, another force, she challenged us like nobody had before, physically, mentally, like that's when we started having lunch hours. We didn't have regulated lunch hours. We were in the studio with Margot, but she just drove us, and for better or for worse, everybody got better. I think she got better, we got better. We changed a lot through the process with Margot. And then of course, Twyla Tharp goes without saying how how remarkable it is an experience working with Twyla, and especially the way we did, we learned early works of hers. We really got a foundation in her technique and her type of storytelling. So we did, the Fugue and Sue's Leg before we did Baker's Dozen. So by the time we got to the bigger pieces, we really understood her technique, which is very individual. It's very different than anything else.
Yeah, and how did it feel? You went from this place, Claire was such a glorious interpreter of that work that, to see, I had the experience of seeing Twyla's company come through Chicago early on, and it was such an exciting thing to see it come and be taken in so deeply and delivered with such, incredible integrity from the stage, especially you. You also later came back and helped her set her work. What was that experience like, to have that bookending kind of experience with her?
Interesting. Demanding in a very different way. She challenges you even when you're not in the studio dancing for her. But it's always, it was a good challenge.
Mm-hmm. Glenn, do you want to say anything about how that collaboration came to be and that the commission came to be with Twyla?
The new work that we had a couple years ago. We were talking, Twyla and I, and she was having her 50th anniversary as a choreographer, and she wanted to hear from me, what do I think about her work? We were on the phone, she said, what do you think about my choreography? And because I was new at that point, and I said, well, Twyla, you were the rebel of dance back in the 60s, and I would love to see you come and make a new work for Hubbard Street and demonstrate that sense of rebellion. And she kind of picked up on that, and she, I think, was flattered with the idea of being considered the rebel. So from that, we commissioned her to come to Hubbard Street, and she made this work called Scarlatti, and it was a big company piece, and it was beautiful. It was really intricate and complicated, and I think the dancers grew from it and had a really wonderful time with working one-on-one with her.
So, do you have anything, Glenn, in your role as artistic director? Do you have anything, you've been really instrumental in continuing the history of the company and also in promoting female choreographers and leadership. And do you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts about bringing female voices to the stage and to the studio?
We did a program a little while ago that had 3 ladies choreographing on the program. Julia Rhodes, Robin Minecco-Williams, and a piece from Crystal Pite, and it was noted, oh, I made a program for all women. And actually, the program just fell into place, and it just happened to be 3 women. It wasn't like I made a special effort that this program was only women. So we've never had an issue in our world, contemporary dance, of finding wonderful contemporary female choreographers. Claire being the first one. Lou was the first to implement female choreographer. Claire was the first choreographer outside of himself to choreograph for the company. Actually, I was wanting to hear about the piece Odyssey. I've got a... That was what, 1979 or 8?
77.
Okay. I want to get a video of that. But I think it's important, of course, all sorts of unique voices from every angle and emotional input is important. Is Robin here? Robin and Alice are our 2 company choreographers, female choreographers. Wave your hand. Both ladies' voices are very, very important to the company, and I'm always proud of what they present. And it is important to be able to bring up that next generation of female choreographers.
So Claire and Glenn, both, what should we do now what should we be doing to foster more female leadership, to cultivate and raise up female voices on the stage in the field of dance?
I'll let you go first.
I think we need to empower young ladies to choreograph at an early age. We need to give them the opportunity and give them an impetus to start choreographing early and not look to the guys to be the ones who are doing that. I really feel like, yeah, getting young ladies, okay, come in here and, give them a task to choreograph at an earlier age so that then they get the bug and then they continue forward. I mean, there's so, when I was a kid, I was the boy who was the lone male in the class. And so I was on scholarship, because I was the anomaly. And I was on full scholarship. I had to clean the studio, I had to clean all the bathrooms and take out the trash. But that's how I came up. It's in ballet, there's hundreds of ladies there. So instead of giving them the thought that there's always another female in line, to give them a task and give them an impetus to start at an early age, I think it's important.
And there's a definite interest in it that we see in the summer intensive programs. All of our intensive programs have an element of choreography, improv, composition, and there's always enthusiasm, and even from the younger ones, from the 13 and 14-year-olds. So I think it's finding opportunities, finding ways to give younger dancers opportunities to pursue and discover their creative voice.
And some pay equality would be good. Well, it's just been such a pleasure to be able to be here with you and see all of you, these wonderful people, all the multiple generations of people who've been a part of Hubbard Street, here to celebrate you, Claire.
Thank you.
So, we have this is a sculpture. It was sculpted by Terry Karpowitz, and we want to honor you with this award. And for the obvious reasons, but maybe it's not so obvious. I mean, you're an original dancer of the company, and you're also the director of the Lupa Dance Studio, our school at Hubbard Street. And just think about the 40-year legacy that you embody, all the joy that you've given to thousands and thousands of patrons who have come to see you dance. Invariably, I say I'm the artistic director of Hubbard Street, and someone says, "Oh, I saw Claire Bataille dance." It happens all the time, without fail. I expect it now that someone says, "Oh, do you know Claire Bataille?" But imagine 40 years later, you're still impacting people, and people remember your performance. But not only that, all the dancers that you've mentored, all the students that you have brought up, the next generation, the company of our dancers who adore you and feel sort of honored to have you in the studio. It's really very, very important, our legacy, and you embody our legacy. And I can't thank you enough for all the love and generosity and support that you've given me and to the company. It's really, really incredible and very bold. And we thank you and love you for everything. Honor they want to bestow on you as well. Come on, Dan.
much longer. That was like the best group of hugs that anyone from all of these guys. Thank you. I am so humbled and I'm so proud of the work that we've done at Hubbard Street and the Lou County Dance Studio before that, from 1974 on. I'm just really proud to be a part of it and intend to be here for a very long time.
Yeah.